to sewage sludge, when public opinion changes, when laws and regulations change, and when it's no longer profitable. And that's our goal. And that should be the goal of the CPC.
Amen. What Dari's referring to, Act 13, for everybody that knows it, which was the law that has recently been challenged and now it's being appealed with the local control. This was all based on something called the Acre Law, which was the Right to Farm Act, where sewage, sludge, and factory farms, as a matter of fact, our tax dollars, $13 million a year, go to fund Acre, which an ordinance is sent to the Attorney General's office, who may look at it, declare it unauthorized, and say, change your ordinance or we're suing you. So our tax dollars are paying for the state to sue us in favor of sludge haulers and factory farmers, and our tax dollars at local level are used to fight our tax dollars at state level. And this is how insane it is. April 1st, to avoid litigation, our township, which I'm trying to appeal, voted to allow factory farming on any parcel of land, irrespective of size or zoning designation, which means a residential zone. I have a heart transplant patient who is fighting a poultry factory farm that they want to put across the street from their residential house, 90-some thousand birds. Their doctor told them they did everything right. They bought residential. It's not a matter of if you die, it's when. Learn. Right to people. I'm going to switch it up a little bit more here. This is my friend Judy. Judy is from Maryland. And the one thing I will say, thank you, Attorney General Gansler. Here is a man who we have to call on to come and sue the drillers in our state for polluting Pennsylvania waters that run into the Chesapeake, because we get more response by calling him than our own state. So, Judy, it all runs downhill.
Doug Gansler is a kick-ass politician.
Yep.
And he hears from me via Facebook, not directly, but I usually send anything cherry-picked that I want him to be aware of. I send it to his secretary, and I send it to the PR person who runs his Facebook page. I figure that those two know where to go, and they know where to get it. So rather than keep knocking on his door, I go the roundabout way. I live in Baltimore County. There is no fracking in Maryland. The leases have been signed in Western Maryland, which is 200 miles from where I am. They have not been renewed. So we're afraid to celebrate that because we know how tricky the companies can get. I've found a coalition in Maryland that is very, very strong. The Marcellus Shale Coalition. They work real hard with Senator Heather Stewart. That's out in Western Maryland. The communication is very tight through the internet, through their website. So everybody and anybody knows which bills are going in, what they say, what our position is, etc. So I am a retired teacher. During the 34 years that I was teaching, I was a political activist, and I learned a lot about lobbying and the negatives of politics, which was a bad lesson. It stuck, but it taught me a lot. So when I see these things going down in Annapolis, I drive down, I connect with them. I don't usually testify because it doesn't relate to me personally, but I support all of their efforts as much as I can. One law that they did get in the books this year was, they fought hard, 3 years they've been fighting hard, 22 bills in last year and this year. One that went through this year was to have the landmen be licensed. And there was So they lobbied hard against that. They did not want landmen being licensed, and it went down, and it was passed. So that was a biggie. Last year, we had another bill passed that was awesome, but by the time they twisted and turned and tweaked all the wording, the power of it was lost. And that was, if there's any problem that comes on the land as a result of the fracking, it's not up to the landowner to prove that it was caused by upright, the other way around. It's up to the company to prove that they didn't cause that. Now, that was the way the language went in that was passed by the House. By the time it got to the Senate, it was twisted and turned and amended, and I mean, it's still there, but it's so weak. It's so weak. Maryland's been fighting for 3 years. I jumped in. My whole family's from Wilkes-Barre and Dallas, Pennsylvania, so they're 200 miles from me going north. My sister called me frantic. They're putting a pipeline in my backyard. What are you talking about? They're fracking. They're fracking. They're putting. What are you talking? I had no idea what she was saying. This is January of 2010. So I hung up the phone, and I am a classroom teacher 22 years, but then I went back to college to get my library science degree. So research is my thing, and I'm passionate about not just finding it, but organizing it, not by the Dewey system so much, but organizing it the way I can grab that information again. And I started to learn. And I started with the word fracking, and then when I saw, oh my God, the pipeline, the traffic, the trucks, I had to get all these new folders, which I had one big folder, fracking. Oh no, that's not going to work. I have now 200,000 folders. And I only know that because I've been hit with 2 bad viruses, and I have too high virus controls on my computer. I am convinced I am targeted. There's no doubt about it. I'm not paranoid. My tech guru used to laugh at me when I said that, but this last virus that hit me and hit my external drive because it was also plugged in, he had never seen anything like it in his life. He's been building computers since he was 9 years old. And he's a millionaire doing all kinds of programming at age 32. I have to be careful because my name is in the pro-gas website community. The energy and depth people know my name because I don't banter with them because that's a waste of time. But I do post what I know is wrong that's happening caused by the industry. I post those headlines. I post the explosions, the fires, everything negative I find, I post. I don't post, we're having a meeting this way or we're having a meeting. You know, I'm very careful. I've been banned from 4 or 5 sites because I ask questions like, can you please tell me how many water buffaloes there are in Denver? I'm gone. Can't go in that one anymore. They just pushed me out. When I started to do this, my concern was my sister. And she lives 1,300 feet from school campus, which houses elementary, middle, and high school, where my 3 nieces go to school. They connected the pipeline to a 52-year-old pipeline that was already in place, that had never been inspected. So there's always the fear of explosion, fire. The school kids they still have no gas emergency evacuation set up. No plan, no practice. They have fire drills, that's it. My sister will be moving this June as soon as my goddaughter graduates. They're out. My other sister's stuck. She's got her 2 kids. In Maryland, to touch on the water piece, I grew up on the Susquehanna in Wilkes-Barre. I mean, we would sit on the banks of the Susquehanna after school, waiting for the circus to start, then we would cross over the railroad bridge, which we weren't supposed to do, but that got us to Kirby Park faster. So the water was contaminated at that time. We're talking late 60s, early 70s. it was filthy. It was full of bacteria from the mine. We were told, never, ever, ever put your foot in that water. And then when the 72 flood came, and it hit second floors and knocked the houses in the streets, and it was just a nightmare. All that sludge came up to here. Stunk to holy hell. My brothers were going down the street in a canoe. Their boat hit a telephone pole. They went in the water, and they had to go to the hospital to get shots because the water was so contaminated. After that time, it started to clean up. It took years, decades, decades. Wilkes-Barre lost their downtown. I went to college in Bloomsburg, and then I went to Baltimore County because there were no teaching jobs in Wilkes-Barre. They hired 50 permanent